Hey everyone, this is Luca with Capivora Group. Today I'm going to be building out a two-variable sensitivity analysis in a real estate financial modeling context. So we're going to kind of build it from scratch, from a blank slate, and we'll show the profit, we'll show the IRR, and we'll go from there. So I know a lot of people can kind of struggle with this. They don't really know how to build a sensitivity analysis, but really it's very simple. So once you build it out, it should be no problem for you guys to copy over and do in your case studies, in your interview prep, whatever it is, even in your real models. If you're working on a real project, this will work. So we'll build it from scratch. We'll keep it pretty simple, and let's just jump into it. Okay, so because we're starting with a blank slate here, we are going to need some basic high-level assumptions to kind of add into our cash flow, and then we'll sensitize from there. We're going to sensitize the rent and the exit cap rate. Those are the ones that are most typically sensitized. So if you are working with those, you'll be able to copy this exactly. If not, you can just do it with whatever two metrics or inputs, I should say, you are sensitizing to. So again, we're going to keep this cash flow. I'm quoting it because that's I don't know if this is really a cash flow, but we're going to keep it really high level. Rent per square foot. We're going to say square feet. We're going to say exit. We also need an acquisition price if we're doing IRR. And then we need an exit cap. Okay, fantastic. For the rent, let's call it $4 a foot, 10,000 square feet. The acquisition, let's call it, I don't know, 800,000. And then the exit cap at 4%. Oops. 4%. These will all be dollar figures. And all right, we've got 8 million here. Let's bring that down to 800,000. And of course, we will color code this in blue because they are inputs. And let's just align it along the middle. And then do this. Okay, great. Rent slash NOI. Again, we're just keeping this super high level because we want to focus on the sensitivity here. Acquisition, sales, proceeds. Certainly not best practices in terms of what a cash flow should look like. If you want to see how to build out an actual cash flow, go check out my other videos. But again, we're just focusing on the Sensi here. 4 times 10,000, no inflation, no nothing. We're going to run this out 12 months. And we're going to anchor. Very important lesson there. Can't forget to anchor those. All right, perfect. So we've got 12 months there. Our acquisition price here, let's call it 800,000, which we've already set up. Of course, this has to be negative. And then our sales proceeds. Let's just take the sum of this divided by 4%. What does that get us to? 12 million. Okay. Awesome. Flip this to the end here. And if that's 12 million, then yeah, let's call our acquisition. It's going to give a crazy return. Let's just call this 11 million here. So that it's a little bit, there's some semblance of reality. And then we'll call this our kind of cash flow line. And we'll sum these three. Again, not best practices, but we're not overly fussed about it here because we're just looking at the Sensi. Okay, awesome. So we've got the kind of cash flow set up here. Okay, awesome. Now there's a couple other things that we want to do here before moving on to the sensitivity table. Let's calculate our IRR. Typically, I would always make this an XIRR. Again, we're getting a little lazy here. We don't want to have the dates in here, so let's just take the IRR. And IRR of 1.08%. Okay, great. And now let's take our profit. And our profit says that we are just summing. All right, so I think we've got just over $1 million in profit. Great. Okay. Awesome. So these are kind of our return metrics. Maybe let's move these here. And now let's pop down and build out our actual sensitivity table. So on the left, we will have our exit cap rate. Up top, we will have our rent. We'll move this down here. And then in terms of rent, so we do have $4. So we'll start with $4 here. And of course, this is hard coded. So blue. Here we can just do minus 0.015. Oops, minus 0.15. Perfect. All right, and then here we'll do plus, and we'll move this to I. Fantastic. Drag this way, so we've got 3 in front, 3 behind. And then on the exit cap rate side, what we're going to look for is kind of the same thing. We're just going to say 4%. Do that, get some decimals in there, and then minus 0.015. 0015. There we go. And let's just do increments of 25 on this side. Okay, awesome. Here we need to toggle this to plus, and then say instead of E29, it is E27. All right. Drag this down. Awesome. For the rent here, where we want to have this is probably here, and then drag it. One key thing that we hate doing here is going merge and center. A lot of people will hit merge and center. Merging is one of the worst things you can do in a model. It makes it like really difficult to control your model. Like, look at this. So yeah, we're not going to do that. Instead, Control 1, we're going to go to alignment and then center across selection. Boom, that looks a lot nicer. The exit cap rate, we'll just plop it down here. We'll now build out a kind of full one of these. Fantastic. I don't really need this or this, but you know, whatever. Actually, that looks ugly. Let's leave it like that. Okay, great. And then what we're going to solve for here is the IRR and profit. So before I do that, let's color code this. Okay, so we are going to solve for the IRR and profit. So how do we go about doing that? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our IRR and profit in this cell right here. And just so everyone kind of knows what we're doing, we're going to say IRR/profit. Awesome. Okay. So what we're going to try and get in this cell here is basically this IRR and this profit. These are the two numbers that we need to kind of get in this cell. We need to obviously format it to make it look nice. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to say text, and this is just my preferred formula. You can use other formulas like a concatenate function if you'd like. But we're going to format it to be 0.00%. Close the bracket, or the parentheses, I should say. Hit enter. Okay, great. So we've got the IRR in there. And now let's just keep going to get our profit in there. We're going to go and get a slash in there, another and, oops. And then here we're going to say text again. And now we're going to go chase the value, this value. And we're going to format it to be dollar amount, number, dollar, believe this is it. Okay, fantastic. Let's close this, see what we get. Awesome. So that looks solid. We could toss a little spacing in there maybe. Yeah, perfect. Let it breathe a little bit. That's great. So we've got that. Let me just center that. Okay, perfect. So now we've got this sensitivity essentially fully set up. The last thing we need to do is run it, which is the simplest part. Excel does all of the work for you. So let's highlight this table here. We're going to go to data, what if analysis, data table, row input cell. So what is our row input cell? It is our rent. We're going to click on our rent, the one that's being used in the actual cash flow, right? Not this one, the one that actually has an impact on the cash flow. Column input, exit cap. Again, the one from the cash flow. Hit OK. And boom, we have everything we need here. We're just going to expand it to make it look nice and maybe center it. But that's essentially what we have here. So this $4, 4%. This is kind of our our main number, and this is 1.08, 1.4 million, like the same way we have here. And then you'll see kind of if, we sensitize it down to 355 and a 3.5 exit cap, we get an IRR that's essentially 1.16, 1.6 million, and it's kind of, you can kind of see exactly what it looks like. So this is it. This is essentially what you have here. One thing you can do, if you want, is to just copy and paste these values. This is a data table now. If you have a larger model, or if you're running multiple of these, the data table can actually slow your model down significantly. It's going to constantly be iterating, which can be a little bit annoying. So you can leave it like this. What I like to do with bigger models, bigger tables, I'll just take this and paste the values, copy and paste the values. These are now hard-coded values, so they're not going to update dynamically. But again, if you ever need to update them, it's the same process. Very simple, takes about 30 seconds. So I like to keep them as values. If you want to keep them in there as an actual data table, you can certainly do that. But just be wary with kind of bigger models. Okay, perfect. So that was a two-variable sensitivity. I hope that was helpful. Obviously, it's pretty easy to run. It's pretty simple once you kind of understand how to do it. But if this was helpful, leave a comment, leave a like. If there are any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you. And if there's anything else that you would like to see that you're kind of struggling with, feel free to let me know about those in the comments as well, and I'll happily make a video about that. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.